Schumacher of ESA. So, Anthony, if you can give him presentation rights, thank you.
Okay, Nicholas, I will share my presentation. Hopefully it works. Can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you for the introduction, Nicholas, and welcome from my side also. My name is Volker Schumacher. I'm
Maybe
working
Volker,
in business.
Volker, in your display settings, could you duplicate it so that we see it full screen?
Ah, yeah. Better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So the main topic of my talk today would be on the opportunity, the space application supporting digital transformation. But I also want to give you a background on the 4S program and also the ESA space, ESA in general, and also ESA space solutions, because this is where the call fits in. I'll just move my picture out of the way. And then we come to the more practical parts of how to apply. Also, this will be covered in the later session from Nicholas. So, and questions if you want to ask in the chat, but also in the later session, of course, we will take your questions as well. So let's see. So a few words on ESA. ESA is the European Space Agency, it's Europe's gateway to space. Purpose is to provide and promote, and exclusively for peaceful purposes, of course, the cooperation among the European states in space research. That's how it all started, and technology, and very important also their applications, so the space applications. Some facts and figures. ESA has been in operation for over 50 years. There are 22 member states that you see displayed here on this map. In French Guiana for the launches. And I'm speaking, for example, to you from the UK side, close to Oxford and Harbour. There have been over 80 satellites so far designed, tested, and operated in flight. Now, this doesn't sound very much today anymore. Built and in your back garden, these are very
Excuse me, but the sound is not good, so I don't know whether it's come from me or from you.
Yeah, maybe Anthony, it's better to stop the video and keep only the presenter as a video. That could give more capacity for the.
Yeah, I think if the problem is from Volker, because I have also some problems listening.
Okay, then we'll ask everyone to close down the videos, perhaps, to give more bandwidth to both sides.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I can turn off my video as well, if you... but maybe it's okay. Can you hear me a bit better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe that did the trick. Yeah, so here you see the full portfolio of ESA on one slide, and I think of the ones better known are the top three, I suppose, the space transportation, the launchers, but also the science part. Here the picture shows you the Rosetta comet. 2014, it was possible to land on that. And of course the ISS, the human space flight, but also Earth observation with the Sentinel constellation, navigation. I'm just mentioning the Galileo. Hopefully, the operations of spacecraft as well, technology, and in the middle, the telecommunications. And this is where I want to continue and focus as well at the applications part. So then I move to that part of the applications and speak about the ESA Space Solutions program. And so this is the go-to place for business ideas involving space in the area of downstream, the society and economy part. And it's the largest space innovation network in the world. So it has multiple entry points. This ESA business application is part of the space solutions part that supports the development of services and using the space assets down to Earth. What you see here on the map is the network of ESA business incubation centers, the locations across Europe. So there should always be a business incubation center near you. And we are supporting European startups and SMEs in developing these businesses. Always using, of course, space and technology and data as well. Sometimes it's further downstream, not even known to the user they're using space, but that's totally okay. And we're offering funding, business and technical support to help generate socioeconomic benefits. What do we offer in ESA Space Solutions? First of all, of course, there's funding, zero equity funding. Some figures here displayed from very small sums, 50K to can go up to 2 million euro per activity. You get some support from our side, technical support, commercial guidance, but also management support. And there's a network. So ESA itself and the projects we've been running and the partners we are teaming up with to launch our initiatives. There's an investor network that we are running. So we're offering access to that as well. And the credibility of the ESA brand is helpful to gain extra funding as well in many cases. So this could be beneficiary as well. Here on this slide, you see the width of the applications that we are investing in. The space assets also include space weather and human space technologies, which space flight as well. That maybe some people don't know, but these are also space assets, of course. And there's a width of applications that we have to have a look at the projects and have a browse through at our webpage. There are over 300 projects that you can have a look at and get some inspiration as well. Now I would like to move to the 4S program line, standing for Space Systems for Safety and Security. So the 4S program is run within the ARTIS program. ARTIS is the acronym I have to explain, Advanced Research and Telecommunication Systems. Has two angles where it acts on the offer by boosting industry innovation, competitiveness, and the ability to deliver as well. And on the demand side, so to supporting public organizations to implement and trigger their own initiatives. And especially within 4S, we are looking towards establishing the next generation of space systems for safety and security. That should be mainly secured communications, should be built on a resilient infrastructure, and operations all done in Europe. And this should enable the trust in our digital infrastructure in times of crisis or disaster, so it should be available when it's needed. There's a new initiative that I would like to talk about here because it builds on 4S and integrates it also to accelerate the use of space. This was set forward in the ESA Vision 2025, which foresees 3 initiatives, also called accelerators. And this was adopted in the resolution by the seniors in November last year. There are 3 accelerators, one on the Space for Green Future, to support the European transition to the green economy, and also the one on the right, the protection for space assets. Of course, the space assets have to be protected. There's many threats also from solar winds and space debris. And in the middle, you see the Rapid and Resilient Crisis Response Accelerator, which I will talk about in the next slide. Just to say that it's done in full cooperation with the European Commission, ESA, and the member states and private partners as well. So there is a study out at the moment on this Rapid and Resilient Crisis Response R3 study. You can see the ESA STARP application that was issued on the 24th of February. And it has to be a fast study because it's the first step to consolidate the requirements and solutions that are addressing these use cases. And it should really take into account a holistic approach from upstream, downstream, and multi-domain. So we're not talking about only Earth observation, only telecom, but we're talking about a holistic approach. The study will be a first step, as said already. So it's a federated system, required developments and synergy of space and ground technology. SatCom Earth observation navigation shall be exploited. What could be the architecture of such a system? So it's a federated system. The users are at the core of it, of course. And there are two pillars, if you like. One network pillar to collect information and to transmit the information, and also an information pillar to collect, actually to obtain the information through the satellite assets, so Earth observation, and also others, also ground-based systems. And this should be a system where really it's targeted to end users, that they get the right information at the right time. Moving to look what is exactly meant by digital transformation. Now, if I cite the ESA digital agenda for space, it is defined as the change of business by altering the business strategy, operations, product, and objectives through adopting digital technologies. And that in turn accelerates then the growth of the business and enables new types of innovation and creativity. I think it's a very good definition, and it's powered by simulation cloud, Internet of Things, of course, big data analytics. An example here to show that's ongoing everywhere is from a zoo that we've been running a project on, and they converted to digital means by, as simple as digitizing their paper maps. And this was possible for the zoos to interact with their visitors in a totally new and never before possible way. Satellites will play a critical role. This slide here is on the left. Produce and live and work. And I think this definitely also impacts on the public safety domain, and that's what we want to also accelerate it, I think, quite drastically by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. That was forcing many stakeholders to simply go digital, of course. And we know that telecommunication with the space component is expected to play a major role in this. And this is what we want to support here in this call, to offer the secure and reliable connectivity that is required for safety-related communications, offering wide coverage, of course, in remote locations, or to increase the network resilience when it's used as a redundant system, for example, when the terrestrial networks are down. We've been working in this with the PSCE network over the last year, and very fruitful cooperation on this, and also other stakeholders, of course. And we would like to demonstrate, and we're looking forward to proposals that are demonstrating the key benefits of using these secure has opened up new ways of working for the public safety community. The public safety stakeholders involved are the ones you see here on the slide, ranging from the fire brigades to law enforcement. Been doing some preparatory work over the last year, where we launched some user studies in 4S user communities. You see here the three areas displayed in the middle. On the left is the safe and secure transportation. That includes aviation, maritime, road, rail, of course, and the protection of critical infrastructures and essential services, including the utilities, finance, health, and infrastructure, logistics. And on the right, the public safety and law enforcement, where we've launched some studies, and they were initiated in 2020 and completed last year. Now we really would like to follow up this preparatory work with demo projects for early pre-operational service demonstrations with the involved user communities. So what are we looking for? So very important, because we're talking about demonstration. Targeting one of the application areas that are, have been defined. And I will talk about that in the next slide, giving you some examples of it should be user-driven. So the users should be involved in the project with representatives from the user communities. It's a pilot trial demonstration.
Turn off your video because we are several people who cannot listen to you properly.
Sorry?
Can you turn off the video? Because we are still experiencing interruptions.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks.
Let's see if I can. I don't have the.
Oh, you have to go up on screen. Up.
I think we can do it for him. There you go. It's okay now, Volker. You can continue.
Okay. It is okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I hope you can hear me a bit better now. So I will continue. So yeah. I was on the point 3 where I was saying that we core of the demonstration project is, of course, to set up a pilot trial that verifies that it works in a pre-operational environment. The proposed services where the users should be definitely involved in the pilot trial as well. And it's very important to use the benefit of secure telecommunication, because this is part of the 4S where this is central. And last but not least, the potential service provider should be in the team, because we believe that this is key for bringing that forward into a sustainable service environment that wouldn't work without the service provider. So just to give you an idea of what the demonstration project could look like from past projects that were performed and are already completed by Belgian companies in this case. So the University of Leuven was the prime on this demo project. It was called BLife, so Biological Light Fieldable Laboratory for Emergencies, where it was a biolaboratory that was possible to deploy into a crisis area and bringing the diagnostic approach as close as possible to the actual area where the crisis happened, but to be connected to the remote analysis functions in the hospital in Belgium. So this was deployed in Guinea to fight the Ebola crisis in 2015, and then also recently in the early stages of the COVID-19 outbreak in Italy in the Piemonte region. And the key was to provide the satellite connectivity and the navigation services to guarantee the continuous monitoring in areas that didn't actually have the terrestrial connectivity. Second project is the Samoa project, satellite monitoring for logistics safety. It's a comprehensive platform that is able to in real time track rail freight and monitoring of cargo and rail tank was performed by Ovinto as a prime in Belgium, and allowing for more efficient logistics and contributing ultimately to safer and more efficient rail freight. So the targeted users were chemical companies, rail freight operators, and rail network operators. Again, here it was the satellite connectivity and GNSS and services that continued the continuous monitoring in areas that were not covered by terrestrial systems. So on this slide, we have summarized some use case examples for this call on digital transformation and public safety to give you an idea what we're looking for. And of course, it's by no means an exhaustive list. So applicants may propose also additional use cases if they are backed up by a user as well, and which are fulfilling the criteria as well. So I just really briefly go through this. On the left, I already mentioned the new normal ways of secure working, including this secure access for teleworking that enables the opportunity for cross-agency collaborations, for example, by sharing databases through the digitalization. I think it's a very important use case to look into. Then the secure SatCom supported communication systems, which are connecting the frontline responders for extending the coverage, resilience, and security. Internet of Things, connecting devices for field monitoring, also to connect vehicles. One application would be fleet management, but also optimized routing during inventions that are based also on hybrid connectivity, like seamless networks. Broadband communication systems, providing on-field broadband connectivity. Set of wings that are then restoring the connectivity in areas that didn't previously have that and connect to nearby devices. On the right, on-demand monitoring of areas that are impacted, for example, by drones, and also to minimize the danger of exposure of staff going too close to crisis areas, for example. There's also a transversal use case that should be probably respected in all these cases relating to the GDPR of treating the location data in compliance to this. Of course, there's the aspect to that should be also respected and implemented in these use cases. So this is really just a broad sweep through possible use cases that are of relevance here. And as I said, the bidders are welcome, and we're looking forward to that also to other areas where there's a user for interested in this. Coming more to the practical parts, how to apply. Where can you find the information? So go to the website, business.esa.int, and there you see the featured opportunities, and there's quite a few of them. So you have to look at the right place. This one is where the green arrow is, this place application supporting digital transformation. You click on that, then you get to the information on the call. So you will also find the slides from the webinar we had done in the middle of February, and you get a scope document, and you will find also the outline proposal template. So the call is open right now. It's possible to already submit. Of course, I would show you the roadmap next. We're looking at a two-step approach. So right now, what is important is to submit and to elaborate an outline proposal until the 12th of May. So this is something that needs to be worked out before going ahead with the full proposal, of course, and only the successful applicants that have submitted an outline proposal will be invited to submit a full proposal, because there's a stage in the middle as well that is indicated here. You will need the okay from ESA, but you will also need the okay from the national delegation. So for now, the first step, the submission of outline proposal, is the one that should be targeted. So just to say one word on the outline proposal content, so you can download it from the website, use this template, be concise and factual, read the documentation, and inform also the national delegation. The outline proposal has 4 parts to it. First part on the project summary, rationale, so the teaming, what kind of service areas are you targeting, who that has some information on the customer segments, the value propositions. It should be able to outline some revenue streams, of course, because we're talking about sustainable services here, cost structure, also competitors, And the third part on the technical aspect, the system and implementation aspects, containing some first iteration of the user requirements, system and service architecture, and the starting point as well, the implementation approach. And the last part on the financial management, administrative, to outline the key activities, cost and duration, and so on. And if you are ready, on this page actually, there's an upload function there on the web submission form. So I think this is covering the main part on this call. So thank you for your attention, and open for questions if you want now or later in the last session, of course, or through the chat.
Thank you, Volker. I think we'll keep the questions for the later part, because as you mentioned in the presentation on the practical considerations at BELSPO, I'll give a few more details for Belgian entities trying to apply for this call and others. So maybe then we can wait until the end once the entire overview has been given. So, but thank you, Volker, for the presentation.
Thank you.
So now we have Marie-Christine, who will give her presentation about Public Safety Communication Europe. So I invite her to receive the presenter rights and to share her screen so that she can start. Okay, there, I see it. Okay, the floor is yours, Marie-Christine. Thank you. But you are still muted, Marie-Christine.
Yes, hello. So I have to restart again. Good morning, anyway, to all of you. Is it okay now?
It is sharing, but we can't see anything yet.
It should come.
There we see it, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. So again, a warm good morning to everybody. I'm going to present the role of PSCE during this collaboration with ESA, and also our contribution to the elaboration of the user requirements and feedback that we provided. So I will briefly present what is PSCE. Some of you know us already, but maybe not everybody. I will mention the cooperation with ESA for the 4S, the needs and requirements, and also two specific projects that we are also running on broadband communication, because there are some links as well with our work today. So what is PSCE? PSCE is based in Brussels. We are a forum, a non-profit organization. We have been created in 2009, so we have a few years of experience. We are based, and we have three pillars, three communities that we bring together to have a dialogue. On one side, we have the practitioner, the user, as we call them as well. So they are coming from different background. It could be Civil Protection Agency, Ministry of Interior, national agency dealing with critical communication, or NGO like Red Cross, for example. We have the industry, so ranging from small SMEs to global players working in the field of public safety. And we've got also researchers, a research organization, technology institute, for example, from Europe. And the aim is really to try to address the issue of the practitioner, to see how to improve that capability, what are their needs, and trying to generate this constant dialogue between them. operational information management system. And one of our core value is technological neutrality. So we are not promoting any solutions against another. We want to let the user decide what are the best options for them, and also really see how they can improve their system. So during, we had previously contact with ESA, but this was really formalized last year because PSCE and ESA signed a memorandum of intent last year for supporting the utilization of space-based application for PPDR. And this goal and the motivation for this memorandum of intent was put in place very concretely during last year in the frame of the 4S studies that were already mentioned by Volker, because we supported the two studies that were running in parallel. So we established a group of stakeholders for interviews. We conducted a large survey about the needs of the practitioner, and we organized also a workshop last November to present the result of the two studies. And it was also an opportunity to have a poll near our practitioner to see what was the topic of more interest for them in the day. On this, to see how we could provide ideas and complement the preparation of the call. So our really contribution is to continue to make the link between the needs and the requirements of the practitioner and the technical and also commercial solutions. I will just highlight a few things from the feedback and from our practice and the dialogue with the user. In fact, the needs are always rather simple in the way that you will see that. They want, of course, to enhance capabilities. They want to have effective operation, so facilitate the operation. They want to also improve the safety of the responder. They want to improve the situation awareness that will help them to make the best decisions. And they want to have whenever it is needed, wherever necessary. So it could be in specific area when you have remote area, a specific coverage where there is a specific event somewhere. Account. And in terms of requirements, they want to have easy to use and deploy solution. They want to have cost-effective solution. That has been always in the past, I think, a problem with satellite application, but hopefully there are new solutions now that are we see a decrease in the cost, but that's also always a problem with public safety. They do not want additional specific equipment. So if you think about radio equipment, they don't want to have 2 or 3 terminals. They want to have one single terminal that will bring all the single solution that they're going to use. They want user-friendliness solution. And another element that is also important that is coming back regularly is the weight of equipment. So we have to have things that are it's also coming to the ready to deploy, but they don't want to have too heavy things to carry when they are on operation. Otherwise, it's also very difficult and could be dangerous for them. So Volker mentioned the result of the 4S studies, and as said, the study identified 3 domains that were promising for the development of satellite applications. These 3 domains were connected vehicles, on-demand monitoring of impacted areas based on UAV, and on-field broadband connectivity. If you look at the call for demo project, you will find some of these elements that are mentioned in the use cases. Some have been added. That is also the use of digitalization, and also secure SatCom, because that was also one of the feedback we provided during the workshop and the survey, that is still a very important topic for which there are needs for solutions. So to have secure SatCom supporting communication system for extensive coverage, high resilience security and public safety functionality. But as already mentioned, that is not a limitative list of use cases, but these use cases have been coming from the studies and also received some feedback and inputs from practitioners already. I would like also to know them, and that could be relevant because in two of them there is a satellite component. PSCE has been running as a coordinator of the Broadway project. It's for the two projects, they are similar. It's a pre-commercial procurement project. It means that we are managing funds, in one case from the European Commission, the other one is from USPA, to select the best solution providers to develop innovative solutions. So in the Broadway project, it's a procurement of solution to enable a pan-European broadband mobile system for PPDR. So the solution is not to help member states to develop their own broadband system, but it's really to have the interconnection between the different national broadband system, and to realize this European layer, and to bring realizing a system of interconnected mobile broadband information system in Europe. In the project, we have 11 member states that are committed to this and are acting as procurers, as buyers. In the project, we have different phases. Now we are at the final phase. We'll have the demo project in the coming months, so technical validation in March, and then practitioner evaluation in June and July. And we have still two consortium that are running, and that will provide different solutions. Around 9 million over the past years. And we have added an element that is really important, that is the evaluation by the practitioner as well, so that the solution could prove their effectiveness, efficiency, accessibility, user-friendliness, and the satisfaction of the user. So you can find more information about Broadway. You see the website there. And I would like to mention, to do a bit of a promotion to another PCP that is more recent, because we just launched early February as a request for tender. So it's open for solution provider to come and propose solution. The budget is here much more limited. It's around 2 million for solution providers. It's to develop deployed EGNOS application synchronization and monitoring of critical mobile broadband communication infrastructure information assets for PPDR. So there are some focus on time synchronization, accurate location, IoT and drones, fleet management. So you can find information there, and they will be also more in details if you are interested. So in all this project, we see that there is a satellite component, that satellite application are becoming very critical for PPDR. It's if we think about communication, it's not seen anymore as just a pure backup to a terrestrial network. it is more and more conceived as a possible hybrid solution that will combine satellite and non-terrestrial and terrestrial communication system. So that is all from my side. That's very, very short, but it was to present really the work that we are doing as public safety to facilitate the adoption of satellite application by our members, and to bring really awareness about the solutions that are possible for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie-Christine, for the overview of the activities. I see that it's quite interesting that there are a few programs being coordinated by PSCE, which I think are quite relevant to some of the satellite communication service providers we have present here today. So thank you very much. The next presentation will be by myself. So if I can share my screen. I think you can see it. Can somebody confirm that you can see it?
Yes.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Nicholas Helsen, as you might know. I'm the ESA Business Applications Ambassador for Belgium, working out of the Belgian Science Policy Office. Once you have decided that you want to apply for one of these calls, how do you get this letter of authorization? How does the process work, basically? And why do you actually have to be presenting at BELSPO to receive a confirmation, as well as in parallel having an iteration process with ESA? Because we get this question quite a bit, sometimes from SMEs that come into the program that may not be aware of how ESA works. Since business applications in general targets also SMEs and startups, they sometimes wonder why BELSPO is involved and why they have to do an extra presentation at the Belgian Science Policy Office. Now, you have to understand that the majority of programs at ESA fall under something called the optional programs. And so this means that the member states themselves decide freely on their level of involvement, not only at the program level, but also at the project level. And for business applications, this is where BELSPO, as the national delegation entity, actually decides for each of the projects, however small they might be in budget, if this receives a letter of support to unlock the funding that will allow you to receive the money from ESA. And so the Belgian Science Policy Office itself supports not only the participation to ESA, but a lot of different scientific endeavors. And within it, there is the Space Research and Applications Department, which manages basically all of the contributions to international organizations, as well as for the EU as for ESA, which means that if you are trying to find any element of funding within ESA as a Belgian player, you can get in touch with us and you will be redirected to the appropriate person that will help you for the authorization for their directorate or their department. So the first step, and this is what I basically tell any type of entity that wants to apply in a call at ESA and specifically in business applications, is to basically get in touch with me. The reason is that the ambassadors have been set up as informal, honest brokers that kind of give you advice and give you information about the different calls that are available, about how your project might fit into it, before you actually send a proposal and then get a yes or a no, from ESA. Sometimes it's quite nice to have a short call, a short video call, to see how eligible and how high the chances might be of getting an approval from BELSPO and ESA. And this is where these ambassadors come in. Now, for business applications itself, some of you might be aware, but all of these calls are sometimes slightly different. They might have different thematic scope. Start activities that have different types of funding rules, competitive calls, open. Sometimes it is a bit difficult to know exactly what needs to happen. what the requirements might be. As for the funding rates that you can have within business applications, especially for demonstration projects, you will see on the website and in the ESA documentation that usually these go up to either 50% or 80%. As a rule of %50, it might be different for feasibility studies and research organizations sometimes, but it's important to budget your proposal, budget your project, especially if you're working with other partners, at around 50%, and to not assume that it will be 80%, because usually in Belgium it is not, which will of course avoid some unnecessary surprises. Now, in terms of eligibility, the Forest Strategic Program line is open to most of the countries that are member states of ESA, however, not all of them. So if you do intend as a Belgian partner to work with an international subcontractor, an international consortium partner within one of these projects, please do check if the country has a funding participation. As you can see in the list here, Estonia, Sweden, I think, are some of the countries not involved. So it is something to figure out before you set up a consortium with any player from abroad. As for the tender process itself, for now, for this call here, the outline proposal template can be submitted through this web form, but it is advisable to most of the players to register on ESA Star, which is the tendering platform of ESA, because this will allow you access to all of the official documentation that is published. And at the time of signing a contract, all of this will be required. Now, there are different types of registration, light registration, but usually this takes quite a while. I think maybe for smaller entities, it's sometimes quite difficult to navigate the ESA Star system. So please do this, ahead of time. As for the documentation for this specific call, there is a news item on ESA Star that you can access, but actually on the web page that was shared also in the chat, I think, most of the information in the template will be provided there. As you submit it to BELSPO, now, as Volker was explaining, after the outline proposal has been submitted and you are invited by ESA to prepare a full proposal, nothing stopping you from already sharing or already having an informal. You will be required before the full proposal stage to present, of course, again, your full proposal. But so don't feel hesitant to contact us sooner rather than later. This is fine as well. This is what the web form on the website looks like. It's quite straightforward. It's just filling in the company details and uploading the files. So this is quite easy. Now, please, there are some types of proposals in the past that you may have uploaded in different ways, that you may have sent to certain email addresses, submitted on ESA Star. So please keep in mind that this is a rather new way of submitting these proposals. So please do check. And if you have any questions, of course, please get in touch with me. So as the approval process for Belgium goes, when you're invited to complete this full proposal, you will be invited to BELSPO, and this is also something that we can arrange together, to arrange for a 2-hour slot to present the project and you as a company and what exactly you want to do. Now, the reason that we ask this is basically to get to know the actors. If there are existing actors that we've worked with, is to have an update about how things are going and how well they're doing. If it's new actors, startups or SMEs that we are not yet aware of, then of course it's about understanding who comes into the ecosystem. By the nature knocking at ESA or BELSPO's door for funding, usually do not do it once. Usually there are multiple programs, multiple projects, sometimes in parallel across the years. And so getting this relationship established with the national delegation at BELSPO is quite important. A second point is to understand how the offering fits within the overall Belgian context. So we do try, at least within business applications, to see if there are consortia that can be formed of Flemish and together in a more Belgian context is quite interesting to see. It might be that you have subsidiaries in both regions. So this is something that is of interest to BELSPO as well. The third part is to delve into the use of space assets and how it relates to your expertise. Now, this may be odd, but sometimes we have companies that might apply to a business applications proposal with a very good idea, but when delving into how exactly they would integrate the space assets, they say that that is why they are going to an ESA project so that ESA can do it for them. Now, of course, that's not how it works. The expertise needs to be within the company, the consortium, and if it isn't, it needs to be attracted into the consortium. So this is something that we do need to check beforehand. And the last point, of course, is understanding the path to commercialization, exactly who are the users and what is the business that you're trying to implement in the market. And you'll see with the little red line, it's been in the future, you will have a great view of Brussels on the 22nd. Can do this once again. So at the moment that you'll request a meeting at BELSPO, you will receive a document, which are the general guidelines for a letter of authorization. This 2-hour meeting. Usually the meeting will be an hour and a half of presentation, and the rest will be a discussion or questions. Now, as for your company, we'll ask very general information about the company and your expertise and what you are already doing in space. A lot of the information in the presentation is stuff that needs to be provided in the full proposal anyway. So it's not like you're duplicating any types of efforts in a meaningful way. It's quite easy to take snippets of what you're doing in your proposal and put this into the presentation itself. We do want to know a little bit about the experience or knowledge of the ESA procurement process that you might have. We've had companies that have come with very good proposals, but had limited knowledge of the ESA procurement process and actually stumbled on a negative evaluation simply in terms of administrative problems or mistakes that they made. So if we know that you are new to filling in financial forms and all of these things, the PSS sheets, then we can help you with this as well. Of course, we'll also ask about the project information itself. The first point is one of the most important ones in the sense that we do request letters of interest from the customers or the users that you might have within your project. So we do need this at BELSPO before we sign a letter of authorization. These also need to specify what the input will be from these users within your project. And so it's one of the, since ESA Business Applications is a user-driven program, it's one of the crucial items that we request. And then, of course, having a sense of the structure of what you're trying to build, what type of space assets you will be using, and what the expertise is that you have within it, what the budget request will be, and the timeline. If you are, for instance, doing a feasibility study before a demonstration project, it's also interesting to know what the follow-on budget would be of any follow-on program. So this roadmap is quite important. And as well, what the socioeconomic externalities could be for Belgium. It might be that you will export it mostly to another country, or it might be that it's a completely internal affair. So these things are quite important. The involvement of Belgian SMEs and stakeholders is also interesting because, as I mentioned, creating this space ecosystem and especially attracting non-space entities, this could be data processing or data engineering startups that then suddenly get into the business of processing Copernicus information or whatever. All of this is quite interesting because it means that we are attracting more non-space companies to become space companies, or at least companies with space expertise. And then, of course, also to finalize the commercial outlook, the business case, because since we are talking about business applications. This is not an R&D program. It's really about seeing how we can integrate space data into commercial solutions. So this is a little bit what you can expect at BELSPO in order to get the letter of authorization. And here on the next slide, I will actually refer back to Sophie. So if Sophie Pirot can unmute herself, she's the ESA JCB delegate, also working at the Belgian Science Policy Office, and she will give a small overview of the space strategy as well. Hi, Sophie.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for your presence, your virtual presence here. So you understood Nicolas is the one keeping the door at BELSPO and helping everyone in to get into the right office to get answers to his questions. And on my side, I'm the one who is in the office at ESA on the Joint Telecommunication Board. And following the Belgian investments in the so-called ARTES program, which is the Integrated Telecom and Application program. So, in fact, every 3 years or so, Belgium and the other countries participating to ESA have what is called a ministerial council. The last one was in 2019. And we are now getting ready for our next step, which is the Council Ministerial of 2022, so end of this year. We are here with you to attract you to those activities, to help us set the goals for Belgium in space investment, and to look forward. You see what are the so-called global themes for the Belgian space strategy beyond 2022. It is a strategy that is currently under definition now. It will mature thanks to the exchanges with our stakeholders in space in Belgium. So the first point is to see space as a source for inspiration. So it is mostly exploration, education, and so on. This is the original, one of the original components of ESA. The second one, B, is space for Earth and society. And it's highlighted here in orange because it is of relevance for our present webinar. So we look at the impact on Earth that space can have for policy making, safety, environment, and so on. The C point of the strategy would be to develop the space sector as business and as a knowledge. Some point that is becoming very crucial those days is to strive for strategic autonomy for Europe and strategic autonomy for Belgium. So you see that those points in orange are meaningful for us today when we speak of public safety. So next slide, please. Slide shows the present structure of the ARTES program. So ARTES is the Telecom and Integrated Application program at ESA. So you see that it has horizontal lines. In the verticals, the first one is the generic programmatic line, GPL, called CC, Core Competitiveness. It's mostly for telecom specialized technological developments, and that can be done with phases in answers to calls from ESA or as a la carte project request from our industry and institutional partners. The second vertical column, called GPL BAS, for Generic Programmatic Line, BAS, Business Application and Space Solution, that's where Volker works, okay? So that's the business application part. And that is the aim to bring space down to Earth and to apply space assets for developing business opportunities and services. The third column, which is called GPLPP, for Generic Programmatic Line Partnership, is in fact huge projects, big consortium, end-to-end for satellite operators. So it's a little bit less relevant here, maybe. But then, in addition to those three columns, which are the three basic tools of ARTES program, we have, since 2019, horizontal thematic lines. Horizontal thematic lines, the first one being the SPL4S, SPL being called Strategic Programmatic Line. 4S, as you heard from Wagner, it is satellites for safety and security. The second line, horizontal line, being optical telecoms, and the third line being synergies among the different around the different theme. Founding rules and so on, of the usual tools of art. What is important to know is that at last ministerial 2019, Belgium received a large amount of money to invest under the ESA ARTES program. So this is 130 million euros that were received at the ministerial 2019. Those were shared around the different lines, with mostly investing into the SPL4S. You can see 8.5 million euros. A little also 4.3 million euros in the optical telecoms. We did not so far subscribe to the 5G, but this is going to come at the next ministerial. Then we ring-fence a budget million euros, and the rest of the 130 million euros were put under CC to be also dispatched among the different lines and columns. Stakeholders. So this is the picture we get now since the ministerial 2019. And we have a challenge now, which is to build with you the Belgian contribution and objectives for the next ministerial to be held in November 2022. And there we see that the landscape is turning around some big themes, with big challenges, which you can see in orange in these slides. You see that we are speaking more about satellite constellations and digitalization. You heard about the EU, European Union, launching its Secure Connectivity Initiative. You heard about SatCom. You heard about EuroQCI. And ESA will be also for the ministerial 2022, we also hear about new items that ESA brings forward. The third bullet tells you about the ESA accelerators. Those are were spoken of by Wagner, and among them we have accelerator. Then for the ministerial 2022, ESA will also need to focus on moving from 5G to 6G. And the last bullet is also the challenges for ESA to move towards a greener use and applications of space. So next slide, please, Nicolas. Thank you. So for the next ministerial 2022, we are starting now to put together our minds with our Belgian stakeholders to prepare the Belgian request of budget from our ministers and to invest in the next ministerial. So we will basically build on the ambitions that we had already at the ministerial 2019, and then we will, for ARTES, for the telecom and application program, we will also identify some new ambitions and objectives. are to move Belgium into the 5G, 6G domain, because at the previous ministerial, we did not invest in that programmatic line. And we want also to defend further our actors and position them in the security up and downstream segment using the SPL4S. Then we have the third bullet, several opportunities, which are, you have heard that we will build this ministerial with you, which means we can arrange with ESA a special Belgian call for designing tools, security tools, space security tools for Belgian institutions. Or we could also design a special Belgian code for tools for disaster and crisis management solutions. So we really want to build a further strong Belgian investment in that SPL4S. And we want to defend our Belgian companies and stakeholders in their initiatives for secure connectivity proposed by the European Union. So these are for the action we would want to take with respect to our actors, objectives and tools, but we have also some targets with respect to networking and promotion. We want to further promote the Belgian competencies in space to the Belgian authorities. Of our Belgian space actors. For example, to make them aware of the expertise of our BeLife project. We would like also to promote Belgian entities working together in multi-Belgian actor projects. And for those, the strategic programmatic lines are very useful because we can design specific Belgian projects and put different actors from the different part of the value chain to work together. Then it is also of very relevant importance in Belgium to promote the ESEC, so the European, the ESA, sorry, center in Radu, for around the thematics of cybersecurity, GovSatCom, maybe in the future quantum key distribution network, and so on. Another objective could be to promote the complementarity and the synergies between the Belgian space, civil, and defense telecom activities, keeping in mind, of course, that the role of ESA is a space for peaceful purposes. And then we want, of course, as much as possible in the future, to engage in a dialogue with the regions and the communities to be more synergistic in the investment we make in R&D and applications of space. Next slide, please, Nicholas. So to summarize here, this is an opportunity for you to open the door to our office and come to us and discuss with us and help us define our future Belgian investment in this same 2022. So in 2019, to remind you, we invested 130 million euros in the space telecom domain at ESA. Now here on this slide, you see some links that may help you, gather some information. First link is about us. It's an explanation about the ESA Artist Program and how Belgium participates to it. The second link tells you about the studies that was reminded to us by Marie-Christine Bonamour, which is now closed, but it's possible if you contact us to have information about the outcome of those studies that can be very useful for you to devise your own projects. Third, Volker focused on. And then the next bullets are bullets that tell you about coming opportunities, future calls that are already identified and calls to come in the future. Because with this new ministerial 2022 of ESA, there are new opportunities to open, like we spoke about accelerators, like we also can speak about the yet to be fully determined multi-domain activities, MDAs. There is one multi-domain activities called civil security from space. And the idea of ESA is to bring together the different ESA activity domains. Please remember the slide that Volker showed you about the launchers, about the technology, about the human in space, about the telecom and so on. So to bring together different sectors, like bringing together Earth observation, telecom and navigations to devise some very interesting and promising services and projects around civil security from space. And if you want to be inspired, the last link on the slide is to tell you about some stories and success stories and context for ESA security applications. That's all from my side.
And here you basically have our contact information, so from Sophie and from myself. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us or to call me on my cell phone if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to help you forward. I will now stop sharing my screen so that I can introduce Fulvio for the last presentation from SATA DSL, who will give an overview of their activities and of their insights as a satellite communication service provider, of course. Fulvio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nicolas. Can you please acknowledge that you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Very good.
The sound is not good, Fulvio.
Yes, there is an echo, Fulvio.
There is an echo.
Maybe you can put headphones or...
Let me try this. It's strange because before the meeting we checked and there was no echo. Maybe somebody who needs to go on mute.
Is everyone check that you're muted?
I think everyone is muted.
Yes.
If you don't have headphones, let's continue like this, Fulvio. But then I think it might be okay if it's. Can you talk again?
Yeah, but it's. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine. You can go, Fulvio.
But the headphones apparently are not taking over the... Okay, let's try like that. If it's too bad, then you tell me, I will try something else. Okay, so first of all, let me thank European Space Agency, to address this distinguished audience. My name is Fulvio Sansone. I am one of the co-founders and the CTO of SATA DSL. So SATA DSL SATA DSL is a satellite connectivity provider. So I will shortly introduce SATA DSL. I will go through some our appreciation, at least our perception of public safety main applications. a little bit about the high-level requirements, and then some opportunities and challenges and conclusions. So as I was saying, SatDSL is a connectivity provider. So we call ourselves an innovative satellite service provider. We are based in Brussels, and we were founded in 2011. Since the beginning of our activities, we decided to operate in a different way from most of other satellite service providers, in the sense that we do not invest into procuring and operating teleports and hubs. We rather work in cooperation with teleport and hub operators. And we focus since the beginning in the development of a downstream service-oriented infrastructure, the service delivery platform, which allow us to provide a wide range of services to our customers. We'll come to that a bit later in more details. We employ 24 high-profile technical and commercial staff, but we work in partnership with a number of companies, especially in the downstream sector, so local service providers who are distributing and reselling our services locally. We have more than 100 partners, mostly in Africa and Latin America, but we are, as we speak, also extending our coverage to Asia. And we work in strategic partnership with the European Space Agency, as I said, of course, through BELSPO on innovative R&D projects. And thanks to these projects, we were able to develop the platform I was referring to. Connectivity services, and bring the satellite economy to a new age through a disruptive business model that we propose, thanks to the platform, to the technology that we have developed. So the idea is a bit to do the satellite communication business, what Booking.com has done in the hospitality market and Uber has done in the mobility market. So aggregate demand, aggregate offer, and match them together through a technological platform. And in our case, also a very wide and long experience on the market in the provision of satellite connectivity services. Here we see a little bit in a simplified way, of course, how we operate. You see the Nexat, which is, as I said, the service delivery platform that we have developed, which sits in between the teleports and the hubs and the customers and the internet somehow. So basically, this platform, which consists in its hardware and software platform, which today consists in 3 points of presence, one in Brussels, one in Singapore, and one in Orlando, and cloud services, which are hosted in our private cloud in our data center in Brussels. So through this platform, we provide mainly 3 kinds of services. The first one, which is our starting business, so provide packaged satellite connectivity services to the users in general through this channel of internet service providers I was referring to before. We also have, in some cases, direct connection with some very large customers. And together with those connectivity services, we provide a number of monitoring, billing, and payments facilities. And this is, I would say, one of the key can summarize the two main features of this platform in one, making the service independent from the satellite technology which is implemented. So we, just to give you an idea, we define and enforce all the service packs into our platform, and we shape ourselves the traffic. So we do not rely anymore on the shaping capability which are in the hub. So this means that basically we make the service for the customer independent from the technology which is implemented. Of course, within the limits of the physical limits, we cannot overcome. And then the other area, the other point, the other value added of the platform is possibility for us to provide to all the value chain monitoring and management functionalities beyond the just hub operator, VNO operator that you normally have within a hub, down to the end users. So monitoring and management extended with billing and payment facilities. So we can allow users on the field to buy vouchers, for example, to buy connectivity services online, activate them on their terminal, so drastically reducing the efforts and risks in collecting payments for the service providers and so for us as well. So this is basically what we do since the beginning in this first line of business, so the provision of connectivity services. But then we have since a few years extended somehow our business model, offering the platform itself to other teleports and hub operators or to other service providers in a platform as a service approach, where basically they can use our platform to address their own customers. So we give them the possibility to use all the features which are available with our platform to address their own customers through their own channel. And then by doing that, we become somehow an aggregator of services, because on the one hand, we have a number of teleports and hub operators which are contributing capacity into the platform. On the other hand, we have a number of customers and channel distribution channels. And so in the longer term, our objective and our ambition is to become a real aggregator of connectivity services, allowing the teleports to buy and sell from each other capacity and services. So this is in a nutshell our business model and how we see the development of the market in the this is an illustration of our satellite coverage. You see that by doing we have quite a large coverage. We have worldwide coverage in C-band, a quasi worldwide coverage in Ku band, and we cover large areas in Africa, Latin America, and a few spots in Asia in Ka band. So now let's move to the public safety specifics. So the main applications, at least as we perceive it, so we have been in touch with practitioners, as they were called in the previous presentation, in fighting fires, so wildfire detections, fire brigades, all this kind of applications, law enforcement, especially for border control, something which happens very often in areas where communications are sometimes difficult. Emergency services, again, emergency services are to be deployed we have got in touch with something which was new for us, mobile labs, so mobile laboratories which are used for remote healthcare. It was one of these applications was referred in the ESA presentation, the BeLife project that you heard about. So something extremely interesting for connectivity providers like us. Of course, we are very eager to learn more and to get aware and learn more about additional applications from the specialists. And this is the reason why we are also a member. We become 1 year ago, more or less, a member of the PSCE. So in terms of requirements, the study which was conducted by Arthur De Little, and I have summarized the main requirements into ubiquitous coverage. Of course, the public safety, they need to operate anywhere. They need high reliability. In some cases, some applications, they require low latency. High capacity, this is a general trend, the digitalization and increase in digital connectivity requirements bring to requests for high capacity in any domain. Cloud platforms, in order to benefit from all what is available, something very important, which plays, I would say, on a double the table. On one end, there is the cybersecurity in terms of securing the communication in order to be sure that you always have the communication, but also the security in terms of securing the content of the communication, which in the public safety domain can be a very key point due to the fact that in some cases the data which are transferred are sensitive data. So from all these requirements that I try to summarize, I see what are the recommendations that were put forward by Arthur De Little, and they were talking about seeking cost reduction of the SatCom link, the link and also the terminal. So in general, the issue of cost of the service, user terminal for specific end user needs and at lower cost. The integration of the SatCom offering with the terrestrial network. This is a very interesting point which has been in the satellite business, and make the satellite ecosystem also more interoperable and engage with the end user to stimulate awareness for SatCom. So based on this, we try to figure out a little bit the opportunities and challenges, and sometimes an opportunity is a challenge and vice versa, as very often happen. So the opportunity, this means more need for communications in general, and then more additional needs for communication in areas where terrestrial systems are difficult to use. So an opportunity for us as a satellite service provider. The increasing need for secure and reliable connectivity. Of course, the need for wide coverage, including in the remote areas, which is where we can probably best add our value, and the increasing cross-border cooperation, which is calling for, I would say, supranational systems and solutions, and satellite is by nature something which goes beyond the borders of single countries. In terms of challenges, of course, keeping costs under control. This is something that we have to be very aware of. All the issue about interoperability with terrestrial and within the SatCom systems. We within the SatCom ecosystem, the results were limited. So we try we try to give our contribution to that basically by aggregating demand and offer and match them into an environment which is technology agnostic for the end user. There is the need to cover wide geographical areas, and in order to be able to offer a solution to the customer wherever the customer needs to be present, and the higher capacity and lower latency, taking into account that at least with the current geostationary communications, we have an incompressible limit, which is due to the distance of the satellite. This is something which might improve, of course, in the future with lower orbits constellations. Then few conclusions. So, at least from our point of view, for us, for a company like us, we silos of the SatCom offerings and reliable and secure services at the best price that they require. As I said, any technology, we have to offer them solutions which are somehow independent from the technology that we implement, manufacturers, frequency bands, etc. Of course, the worldwide service coverage that I referred to before, taking into account also the fact that this has to work, all this has to work in different environments, on air, on land, at sea. So there is a multimodal aspect also to be taken into account, and considering also the requirements for of some specific applications for low latency. One point which becomes relevant is the multi-orbit connectivity services, taking into account GEO, MEO, LEO, and ideally the possibility to jump from one to the other. So all this, of course, it's there are a number of technology and service improvements that need to be realized, but our knowledge and our platform, our NextSat pooling and sharing platform, to these purposes of the public safety users, and of course the user-centric demonstration projects as one that can be proposed under the frame of this new program look to us as a excellent way to make possibilities, and on the other hand, make ourselves more aware of the needs of those users and be able to tailor our solution specifically to their needs. This concludes my presentation. You have here my contact details, and I'm very happy to answer to any questions that might arise in the.
Thank you very much, Fulvio, and thank you to all of the speakers that came before him as well. I think now we still have a little bit of time for to open up the questions and answer session, or basically to have an open discussion. So I invite anyone who has anything that they would like to ask either the people that are here from ESA, either the representative of BELSPO, such as Sophie, or even from the aspect of the users, if there are some here in the call, or from Public Safety Communication Europe that has a good overview of these users. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions. Now, of course, if you don't have a question, but if it's related to an interest in perhaps being involved in the call, that's also interesting, because for the people who want to, in the registration form, you saw that we will share the email addresses of those who have proactively mentioned that they wanted to have these shared. I see a raised hand from Ying Chao, yes? Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. I do have some audio problems when I follow the presentation. I have a question for Sophie, actually, with regards to the artist program. I wasn't very sure that with artist program also support in-orbit demonstration projects. So because space grade and European components for the telecom satellites, and many, in fact, we're in competition with American suppliers. But of course, for European companies to adopt our components, our technology, to be quite crucial that we have, let's say, in-orbit demonstration as entry barrier for our components. I don't know if artists will have any kind of specific programs that will support quicker in-orbit demonstrators.
Hello, Ying. Sorry, your question was cut into pieces by the bad connection, but I guess I got it. Under ARTES, the branch CC, so Core Competitiveness and Growth, we have what we call the so-called Atlas. Atlas is for in-orbit demonstration. So I encourage you to contact us, and we will. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else who might have a question for any of our speakers, or who might be interested, for instance, in the call that was proposed now? Because of course, since you will have to engage users and stakeholders who might be more well known by Public Safety Communication Europe, it's perhaps interesting the user organizations that federate all of these players. So feel free to, of course, already express an interest, so that perhaps there might even be cooperation between certain Belgian partners. Yes, I see a hand from Fulvio.
Yeah, I have a question concerning the timing, because I saw that so the call is opening now, and then there is a time frame for submitting the outline proposals until May, I think, and then the call will close in November. Is this a, let's say, strict timing, or there will be different rounds or calls? What is the situation on this side?
So here maybe I can let Volker from ESA give some insights.
Yes, so thank you, Fulvio, for this question. So that the timing refers to the first batch. So we have not just defined a second batch, but we want to be also going ahead fast with this, because they see that there's a good opportunity to put something on the table in terms of practical demonstration projects. So the outline proposal has to be in by the 12th of May. And then we have, of course, an internal evaluation period that, and also the boards that were mentioned by Nicolas and Sophie as well, on the national decision level to support projects and proposals. So this is the timing we are looking at the moment. So you have to be with your outline proposal by 12th of May. And this is the strict timing for the moment. But what comes afterwards, the second part for the full proposal, this is less strict because it's going into the what we call the direct negotiation mode. So that will be then it's an estimation, let's say. But we aim to close this by November, so that the evaluated first batch of the outline proposals could go also ready to sign a contract by the end of the year. So that's then the timing we're looking at. Is this answering your question? And so it's
yeah, it's answering my question. My interest was more in terms of the possibility of having a second batch of let's say proposals, simply because there might be some cases where, for example, we are into maybe a good proposal for this program, but I don't think that the feasibility study will be concluded early enough to be able to have an outline proposal in by mid-May.
okay. Yeah, then it will be so. This will be then another question that we have to decide internally if this is possible. But for now, we foresee this time frame, and this will then ensure the signature still this year. If it's coming later, then it cannot be considered within this specific opportunity. But of course, we're open to receive proposals also on this topic further on in the timeline.
Yes, I think indeed, if there is an interest to do this later, that basically there's always an open door for applications, even if they relate to safety and security and they don't fall within a specific call, they can always fall within the open call. But I think perhaps this is what Sophie wants to mention as well, as I see her hand.
Yes, I wanted to say that ARTES is a optional program where we can manage the Belgian funding with a lot of flexibility. So in case we have an interesting proposal from a company or a consortium that does not match exactly the ESA call for tender in timing, in budget, in readiness, or whether it's a demonstration and a la carte project with you. Of course, then the co-funding rules will be slightly different. Usually for the ESA, but nevertheless, we can tailor some project for you, even some specific Belgian call for you to this case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. I'd still like to say that we apologize for the internet connection that seems to cut intermittently at every single speaker, so it might be a problem plan in this way. I'm trying to see if there are any other questions or insights that somebody would like to share. I saw that Ying had his hand raised, but I'm not seeing it anymore. Or do I?
Hello,
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just seeing from actually. Yeah, I just trying to reconnect because I had some connection problems. I hope it's better now. I do have a practical question. Because I think for this call for the public security and safety, I think collaboration within the Belgian actors is quite important to me. I mean, is BELSPO has planned to organize like a brokerage meetings afterwards, or there is kind of collaboration too for companies to brainstorm ideas together? Is it something that you have in mind, or is that company basically we just need to make our contact ourselves?
No, I think here the great help is the connections that you can make with Marie-Christine and her team from Public Safety Communication Europe. I mean, they basically have a repository of all the actors, some of whom who are in the call as well, who, as well with the programs that they're coordinating, have an excellent network related to, you know, the civil protection agencies or law enforcement. Or so whenever you have a specific idea of what you might want to develop or propose within a call, but you don't really have the users yet, or at least not the connection with the users, I think via Public Safety Communication Europe, who themselves are actually organizing multiple webinars and conferences on a regular basis, I think this is the real interest that we can have from working with them together with ESA and BELSPO. So I would basically refer to them if it's really about making the connections with the public safety user entities.
Okay, thanks. So, but that's for the user side. If we, so if several Belgian actors want to have first trying to bring the technology, because I think in Belgium there are many technology providers. It would be quite, I think, interesting if we could bring those technology partners together, that we can probably offer a much more interesting solution to the end users rather than technology alone. So for that aspect, is there any kind of
but that's also kind of the purpose of the discussion that we have here today. In the list, of course, a great deal of the people are service providers in the realm of space, who then could be the ones that are being funded within these consortia. So it's really up to a lot of the people that are in the call today to try and see if they have any interest in these calls. And this is why I was also mentioning that the expression of interest here might be interesting, so that afterwards you can get in touch and see what type of solutions might be interesting to further develop together under one of these programs. So I mean, this was also kind of the purpose of the webinar here, is to bring these people together and to try and see together with the different service providers in Belgium. This is why we focused it on Belgium. And so, for instance, I mean, now I see that you, as expressing an interest, with the contacts after the webinar, we can facilitate the connections that might be useful for you, so that, you know, we can organize these brokerage sessions. We will probably not have a dedicated event with only in parallel brokerage sessions together, but if you identify certain players, or if certain players today come forward now or after the webinar, we can certainly put you in touch and facilitate these meetings to then eventually have.
Okay, that's clear. Thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to share something? I don't see. I don't think I see any raised hands. But so yeah. So like I said, if during the registration form itself you maybe did not indicate that you wanted to have your contact details shared, but that afterwards you realized that perhaps this could be interesting nonetheless. For instance, to then work together with some of the people here for a call further on, please do send me a mail. We will also share the presentations to all of you, so that you have all of the contact details as well as the content of the slides. So if after this webinar, after letting all of the information sink in, you think that it might be relevant to be put in touch with certain people, please do let me know, and we will do everything we can to facilitate and to brokerage these connections together. And I see Sophie wanted to say a final word.
Yes, please. Thank you, Nicolas. So this is to remind you that we are in a an interesting phase in preparation for the ministerial 2022. So we are readying our request to our Belgian ministers to subscribe for this ministerial, so to provide additional money under ARTES, like we had last time in 2019, 130 million euros budget provided by Belgium. So since we are in this preparation stage, I really do encourage you to come to us with your ideas. And really what we would welcome to see is projects that would bring together space industries with security services or products that would help directly the Belgian customers in public safety and security. So please come to us. This is really the time where we could prepare something for the ministerial with a specific request in that matter. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sophie. So if there are no time, in that case, I would like to thank all of the participants and all of the speakers that have joined us today. And like I said, don't hesitate to contact any of the speakers after the webinar if you would like to have more specific information related to the content of the presentations that everyone gave.
Thank you, Nicolas.
Nicolas and Sophie. Yeah.
Thank you.